Okay, so it's been a couple of years since the last time I got up in front of you guys to try a live demo. A couple of slides first. Basically, at the last NANOG in St. Louis, a bunch of the backbone operators got together to talk about tools and what kinds of tools would be useful. This was a little meeting called by Doug Maughan from HSARPA, and there were two things that came out of that. One was what you're about to see now, and the other was a live RSS feed of whois changes as they happen, which also got worked on and mostly done about a week after the last NANOG, but then ran into intellectual property issues around the whois content. So we'll be working on that as well. But anyway, so this one, basically the goals here were to get a tool up that would let provisioning engineers sanity check the lists of prefixes that their customers want to announce out through them. So if you're running a backbone, customer comes to you, wants a BGP session, says, you know, here are the 50 prefixes we want to announce out through you. A senior engineer could probably look at each of those and tell you if there was something wacky about one of them, but a senior engineer probably doesn't have time to go through all 50 of them for every customer. And if you hand them to a junior engineer who does have time, at least for the lists of 50, if not the lists of 1,000, the junior engineer may not already know off the top of their heads what a lot of different prefixes are. So the idea here was just to sort of automate that and be able to pick out the weird ones for a little bit more scrutiny and let people save some of their time by not looking at all the ones that were as expected. And then obviously the next step is to crank out a properly formatted prefix list that can be dumped into a router. So as you might expect, a lot of the work in this goes into the input parsing because people have all kinds of weird formats that they want to dump junk into this tool in. Obviously, the easy one is just CIDR, right? n.n.n.n/mask length. But if you look at old whois stuff, you've got pre-CIDR ranges. You've got stuff people are dumping in from Cisco and Juniper configs, from output from display commands on routers, stuff coming out of other kinds of provisioning systems, lots of stuff out of RIR and IRR whois. So we're trying to parse all of that stuff as rationally as we can, and I think you'll find we're doing a reasonably good job, but we'd be very interested to hear about any exceptions that you find. Then we do a little bit of analysis of it. A lot of database lookups into the different databases that we keep of different kinds of infrastructure. So we flag all the bogons and critical infrastructure like exchange point subnets and root and TLD name servers. We flag long prefixes. So anything longer than a /24 right now, but you'll be able to dump in a table of your own preferred maximum prefix lengths for each range out of the V4 space. Then we draw a little map of the world and show on the map where these prefixes map to so that, if there's one that's different from the others, you can spot it easily. We grab a little malware incident to address ratio statistics from Rick Wesson's outfit, Support Intelligence, and we kind of sum that up into a ratio. And then we put a lot of this stuff up in a table so that you can sort of sort it different ways and look at it and make sense of it. And then the output, we do Cisco prefix lists, Juniper prefix lists, and Juniper set commands. So time for a live demo. Just kidding. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have to do this kind of over my shoulder here. somebody want to, whoop, where's the cursor? There we go. Somebody want to give me a couple of prefixes that they're going to be able to recognize whether we've got them right? Somebody? Mike?
There you go. RS will help us.
RS will help, all right. This is not a plant. Somebody else can come up after RS.
Sure. 192, 148,
148.
252, 0,
Okay.
space, 001, 255.
Okay, let's see how that one works. And any others? Come on, somebody. Few more. It's not dangerous.
It's harmless. Come on, guys.
Philip.
All right, we'll start selecting volunteers if we don't get them.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, try 146.188.0.0.
Okay. So I'm not bothering with a mask on here. We'll see if it gets it right. Ted, how about you? One of yours.
Play with it.
All right. Okay. So to show you the kind of stuff that we can digest successfully, I'm going to dump in some other things here as well. So we've got those two. Then we've got a show IP BGP, show IP route, some show run, the route statements and route map statements, and then some who is down there. So let's submit it. And this is going to take a little while because this entire thing, database and everything, is at the moment running on a single little Mac Mini, which is why I have the URL hidden up there at the moment, because I'd really rather that only me and a few other people be using it right now while we do the demo, and then you guys can all start playing with it the moment the demo is done. So we're grinding through some database queries here and rendering a map, which, yes, will only take another few seconds. There we go. Okay, so this is probably easiest to see if we sort it. Whoop. Sorting's not working there. Okay, there we go, because it was taking. Yeah. Well, okay, so there's the map. You can see that most of these were in the US. We've got a little bit in Mexico, a little bit in Canada, and a little bit in South Africa here. So right off the bat, if we're writing a prefix list for an ISP in the US, we might want to look at that South African one and say, you know, maybe that one isn't right. So let's sort by country and go find that. So there's the South African one. You can see it's just a normal prefix, checks out okay. So it's checked by default. So we might want to uncheck that to say, no, we don't think that one's okay. We're going to take it out of the list that the prefix list we're going to generate. Now let's go back and look at the others. So this one we've kicked out because it's got the DNS server for the TT country code in it, Trinidad and Tobago. But you know, I happen to know what that is and know that that one's okay, so we'll include that. Then we've got the one here, 198.32.176, which many of you may recognize. That's PAX. So we probably shouldn't include PAX. Then we've got another one here, 206.220.230/24, but that's already included in another one that was already in the list, so we don't need to include it again. Here's B root, and whoop, cursor down there. And then here's one with a whole bunch of TLD servers in it that I also know is okay. And we've got a Bogon, 192.168. And then a bunch of stuff that, you know, I know belongs to various customers, whatever. Also, we can hit show errors here and see what the parsing errors were, right? So prefix 0.0.0.0 is too general. And then a bunch of things where we looked at the line and there just wasn't anything that looked like a prefix in it. Anyway, so we have that show errors button anytime we had any parsing errors, so it shows up some of the time. All right, so let's say we want to go ahead and generate a prefix list from this. And I want to call, let me scroll down so you can see all this a little bit better. Let's say I want to call this Bill's list. And let's say I want to add this on to an existing prefix list that has goes up through 300 right now. So let's start that at 310. And let's say I like my increments in 5s. So this is all just, copy and pastable off of here. Let's say that actually I want to pop it into a Juniper instead. Got Juniper set commands, various ways of popping this stuff out. And we're happy to add more. The output side of this is actually really trivial compared to all the parsing and database. So there are other things that we can do here aside from just submitting lists of prefixes and generating prefix lists. Like I said, set maximum prefix lengths. If you want to give us a table of maximum prefix lengths in different ranges of the v4 space, again, happy to take those. That feature is not quite done yet, but will be shortly. Custom exclusion lists, also not quite done yet, but should be shortly, where if you have things that you want flagged in input that you see, but you don't want that to be public for other people, so like your own internal infrastructure and that you don't want to hear from customers, that kind of thing, you can put it in and we'll save it for your use, but other people won't see it. Report critical infrastructure, so if there's something that you think that we don't know about that you think is critical infrastructure, you can report it to us and we'll figure out whether to add it into the general list of things that get flagged. With a lot of this stuff, we have links with definitions here. So if, again, you want to throw junior engineers at this who may not quite know what we're talking about, we try and be as helpful as possible. And then lastly, of course, feature and bug report there. In case you run into anything, please let us know. So let's wrap up the slides here. So future features. Like I said, the custom acceptable prefix lengths tables, custom prefix rejection tables, AS rejection and accept tables. So if you want us to flag things based on ASs that you don't want to see in the path or that are automatically okay in the path, we're going to have both of those features. Another trickier one, previous transit AS uniformity check. So if you give us a list of prefixes, we'll look through and see whether those prefixes mostly have the same ASs in common that they were getting transit from before, and if so, we'll be able to flag ones that don't have those in common. So if a new potential customer comes to you and says, all these guys are my customer, we'll be able to flag ones that look like maybe they didn't have that guy as their service provider in the past. Also suggesting potential aggregates. So if you give us, something that includes 16/24s in the list that could aggregate up, we'll be able to suggest the aggregate for you if you want to put just one line in instead of 16 lines into your final list. An XML API for integrating this into your provisioning system. So if you want to just fire something off from your existing provisioning system, rather than logging in the web interface, you'll be able to get the same data back in XML and do whatever you want with it. IRR submission generation, so another output format, aside from the Juniper and Cisco prefix lists, is a template to mail in to an IRR. So we want to just do that for you automatically as well. Again, not quite done yet. And lastly, IPv6. We haven't actually had a request for v6 yet, but a lot of people have mentioned that they think other people would want it soon. So again, we didn't try and get that done for version 1, but we will soon. And obviously, this is all driven by what you guys actually want to use, so just let us know. In terms of known issues, like I said, the main one is just performance. We're doing a fair amount of caching and so forth to make the responses come in as quickly as possible, but right now it's all running on one little Mac Mini, and we'll try and scrape together some money for more hardware to put it on. Thank you very much to all the beta testers. We got a tremendous amount of feedback over the last couple months about this, as well as, of course, in the original meeting at the last NANOG, and that's where all the ideas here came from. We didn't have the smarts to dream any of this up ourselves. And to HSARPA, who called the original meeting that came up with this. And there's the URL, where it will be in perpetuity as long as we're around. So please have fun with it and let us know what problems you find. We'd love the feedback. And if anybody has any questions right now, I'm happy to take them. That looks like I'm off the hook.
Yeah, no questions, no comments?
Okay.
All right, then I guess
Thank
we're
you.
on to lunch, guys, and you want to take it over, Steve, or? I was gonna-